this has got to roll off your tongue. We can use this too much. It's got to be in all your marketing. You got to excel your tools because this is big and they're going to get this at any time and people just love it. You know, we've talked about all the different ways that we can grow and contact our sphere of influence. And I keep showing you different ways we can do it. We've talked about creating an annual database contact plan and systematically contacting and staying first of mind with your SOI database. We're always trying to grow that database to get it bigger. And we're always trying to stay in front of it without getting a restraining order or harassing it too much as well. And so what I want to show you a tool that has now become one of the most effective ways at both growing it by bringing people you don't know into your sphere of influence database, and also one of the best tools for organically contacting it. And what we refer to then, there's a bunch of different ways to use it. So, and I'm going to go through all those different ways. There's 4 main ways I like to use it. And then there's quite a few spin-offs of that too. But I want to talk to you about a feature called listing e-alerts. Okay, listing e-alerts. And you know, we'll refer to those as search updates. Some people refer to them as auto prospecting. And they're a great way, like I said, to both grow your SOI and an amazing way to stay in contact with it. So as we always talk about, real estate is a game of touches. So we're always trying to touch people without turning them off. So we do that by adding value and coming from contribution by giving them something they want. That's the only way we're going to actually contact our people 100 times a year. They better like it. If they dislike you and the way you're contacting them and you contact them 100 times, it's just like Japanese water torture, like ding, ding, 100, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to turn people off in a huge, huge way, right? So we got to make sure it adds value. And this will, if done correctly. Okay. So a little history of what we're talking about. All of you know what I'm talking about, whether you know it or not. Listing e-alerts is one of the oldest digital tools that realtors have had at their fingertips. And they are provided to almost everyone free through their multiple listing service. Okay. It's just how we use them is what's going to be unique today. So your MLS, your multiple listing service, through your membership, typically they enable you to input contact information into the MLS, the name, the number, the phone, you know, the criteria of the homes they're looking for. And then anytime a new listing hits the market, they'll instantly send them an email saying, hey, a new listing came up that just fits your criteria. Then they can reply to you or save it or favorite it or heart it or whatever, or tell you, hey, I want to get in that house. It's just what I'm after, right? That's the traditional use of the listing e-alert tool. And that's actually provided through your multiple listing service. And that's how we use it to work with buyers. And you can even set it for, you know, if you want to give them an email the minute instantly a listing hits, which I recommend in this market, or they could get a weekly email at the same time that shows all the criteria that came up for sale that week, or even a monthly one. Here's all the listings that hit the market. You can even show them all the pendings. In some MLSs, they allow you to show pendings and solds too. Some just show you are able to show sold. Some won't show solds. Every MLS is a little bit different here with their rules and how they restrict their own members from marketing. If you can tell, I'm annoyed by that. But they do that. For some reason, your elected local officials like to restrict your use of data. Isn't that awesome? And they have great reasons for it that make 0 sense at all. But I would prefer if they gave you everything because you pay for it. So write your congressman or your local MLS board member, okay? So that's how we use it traditionally for buyers. So this has been around forever, and that's what most people use listing e-alerts for, which is great. I mean, I strongly recommend it. I mean, I'm an investor buyer, and my agents always set me up on listing e-alerts, and I use those to find, you know, income-producing properties. I don't want to get a phone call every time. I just want a direct email, right? That's how you can use your MLS. But there are some disadvantages to using your MLS. Number one is you have to manually input every single person you want to set up on that thing. And typically you already have your own CRM. So you've got your stuff, your databases in multiple places. That makes sense? And that's not fun, right? The other thing is, if oftentimes your CRM is tied to your agent website, and when they click on a listing e-alert to view it, it pulls them back to your agent website, which registers as a hit on your website, which Google notices and says, Google likey, lots of people are hitting that website. Maybe I should start getting that website to show up higher in search results. So you're driving traffic to your website, which is always a good thing too. So I like that. Try to use listing e-alerts through your CRM, and a bonus of your CRM comes the website, right? Which most do nowadays, because you can draw traffic to it, okay? A second advantage is artificial intelligence. Oftentimes you can go check when people are on your website, or even set your CRM to give you text notifications. Hey, someone's checking out on your website. Someone's checking out houses. Why does it know? Because they clicked on your email. You sent an email out letting them know there's a new listing, and they clicked on it. Someone's looking. When someone's looking on your website at a listing, that's an excellent time to text or call them. It's creepy, but at the same time, you're there like, hey, I saw you searched on the site. Can I help you with anything? You want to get inside that one? That type of thing. It also shows you're responsive. Really, really responsive, okay? And it shows you have good lead follow-up and lead capture systems as well too, okay? Lastly, I kind of like the CRM listing e-alert emails because you can customize them a little bit. You know what I mean? Sometimes the MLS ones look a little clanky, where you can kind of brand your own CRMs listing e-alerts to look the way you want them to show you a little bit more, that kind of thing. So that's kind of why I like them that way. Now, so that's the idea. So the point of the matter is, this doesn't have to cost any money. You could use your free website, your free CRM, your free MLS. You can use it. Almost any CRM has this feature now. And if you are thinking about buying a CRM, this is always the one feature that people forget to ask. Make sure it has the customizable listing e-alert capability, which means it has to have an IDX feed too to your local MLS. IDX is a data feed that goes through the internets between on the information superhighway between your CRM through the World Wide Web. I like saying that one as much as I can too, to your local association's multiple listing service, so that any listings that go on the MLS auto feed directly to your CRM, and poof, out go the listing e-alert emails. 4 general uses I'm going to show you, okay? One of which we already talked about, which is how to use it for buyers. I'm going to take that to the next level for you though, and show you something you didn't know there. You'll like that. Number 2, we can use it with our own sphere of influence. We can use it highly powerful for sphere of influence to stay in contact with them. We can also use it to geographic farm to grow our sphere of influence. It's one of the best farming tools ever made. If you want to start selling houses in a certain price point in a certain location. Number 3, we can do it for sellers, for seller leads, seller lead follow-up, and seller lead conversion. Or so that's number 4, because I already said number 4, which is buyers. Okay? So let's start with your SOI first. You're going to like this, okay? Again, with your SOI, these are people we know, but they're not necessarily looking for a house, and they're not necessarily trying to buy like we would usually use a listing e-alert tool for, okay? So understand we're actually going to switch this tool and use it for sellers, for listings now. We're going to turn the tool upside down, and it's like we're going to use it for purposes not intended by the maker. We're going to take chocolate and mix it with peanut butter, create freaking Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh. Unintended uses of good products. That's what I like. So that's what we're going to do with your listing e-alerts. Because for a very long time, we've been email marketing to our SOI with these ridiculous little templates that say, Happy Groundhog's Day, you know, and it's just like a photo. It's like a stagnant email. And those don't add a lot of value. Happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart, you know, that kind of stuff. Don't forget to turn your clocks back. You know what I mean? Don't forget to spring forward. Here's your back to school supply list, stuff like that. We've been doing that. That's been the realtor's poor excuse for email marketing. And that is not coming from contribution. It really isn't. I don't pretend that that's a nice greeting. You hate that stuff when it comes to you. It clogs up inboxes, right? And if some of you are doing that, I know, I get it. I do some of that too. But the point of the matter is we all got our stuff, right? It's okay to be a sinner here. We will look past that. But we can improve. And if you ignore and don't do this, then it's on you. Okay. Because here's a way we can truly dilute that sin with some good works. Hey, I mixed in a good Christian message there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to market to sellers by giving them what they want. Okay. So people in your SOI typically own or rent a home, and they are very interested in what's going on in their local neighborhood and how the value of their home is going up in value. In a nutshell, is explain to you the value add that we can give to members of our SOI. So let me give it, and I'm going to show it to you with the script. Okay. So let's say we're going to talk to a member of our SOI, either by email or by phone call or face-to-face, and tell them we're going to set them up on our listing alert program. Here is why they're going to want it. Here is what I need to tell them is my call to action to get them to enlist in my listing alert program. Okay. So I think this will help you understand it. I'm going to show you the script. Don't worry. I'm going to give this all to you. You'll be able to download it on the side of the screen. So here you can see this is our auto email drip script. Hi, it's Brian Icenhower with ABC Real Estate. I wanted to give you a heads up that I've set up your new neighborhood update tool and would love to hear your feedback on it. My clients really loved it. When one of your neighbors in Sherwood Forest Homes puts their home up for sale, you'll immediately get an email with all the listing information and photos of the home. This way you'll be able to look through photos of your neighbors' homes. Who doesn't love that? Like, these are nosy neighbors. They are going to want to look through photos, see how they decorate, see how their home's worth, see what things they have in there, how their home looks compared to theirs. Compare the amenities, features, and size of the other homes to your own home, right? So they can kind of size their home up against theirs. Know the price of each new listing so they can see how that might impact the price and value of their own home. See how quickly each home sells by getting pending and sold alerts. See what it ultimately sells for. And they get an idea of how the value of their home is actually increasing from month to month as they continue to stay educated on the sales activity in their neighborhood, because you're always keeping them to date on their local neighborhood's market conditions, right? Then we can close up with something like, I really think you'll find this customer service tool useful since most of my clients already do. But if for some reason you decide that you'd rather not receive these updates, you can always unsubscribe yourself or just simply reply to an email and we'll discontinue it for you. However, I'd love to hear what you think about it first. All they need from you is the correct home address and email address for you. Sound good? Make sense? So that's it. And so basically you just got to get those 6 bullet points down. The first one is always look through photos of your neighbor's home, because 99% of people want it for that reason. Number 2, we're going to compare the amenities, features, and size of the homes to your own. We're going to see the price and ultimate sales price of each listing, see how fast it sells. We're going to be able to see how our value of our home is increasing over time this way. And it's going to keep them up to date on our market conditions in our local neighborhood. Those are all things we're doing for them that they can't find another way. Usually they just see a house for sale sign come up for sale, and that's it. They don't even know if it sells. They don't even know if it's sold yet. It's just sitting up there until one day the sign's gone. They don't know what it's sold for. They don't know anything about it. This way, they're going to be the first to know. And I tell them that they're going to be the first to know. They'll know before all you guys do, well before all you guys do. And the reason I say that is they're going to know before all you guys do, because you guys don't look at every listing that comes up for sale in your whole city, town, or area every single day. Well, if they get an email first thing in the morning with a new listing that hit, they're going to know before most agents do. Like, they're going to be in the know sometimes before the sign goes up. People love instantaneous knowledge like that gives them real estate insight. They might be able to find the home for sale for one of their friends they want to move in the neighborhood. For their family member they want to move in the neighborhood. They may want to move up to another better house in the neighborhood. Or you're just keeping them up to date and they really start to appreciate it. Funny story about this. My wife has my mom, who's getting up there in the years and doesn't quite understand technology, on a listing e-alert and for my mom's neighborhood. And it's hilarious. She's been on it for a long time. And every time a listing comes up for sale, an email goes to my mom. So my mom will tell me, boy, Robin sure is selling a bunch of homes in my neighborhood. And I'm like, Mom, those aren't her selling them. Those are emails she's sending you. I mean, she sells some of them, but most of them are from other agents. And she's like, I don't know, Brian, I get an email every single, I'm just, it is amazing how many people think you're selling a ton of real estate in their neighborhood. I mean, you couldn't convince my mom otherwise. She literally to this day, I just let her have that one. I try every now and then to kind of explain it. So I'm being good natured, but then I don't push that hard because it's crazy town. But that's what ends up happening. Is a lot of people are just going to not only see you a lot, they're definitely going to think you're active. They're definitely going to appreciate what you're doing for them. But a lot of them are going to think you sell more homes in that neighborhood than anyone else. It is shocking how that starts to occur over time. Even if you never sell a house in that neighborhood, after doing this for a couple years, they're going to think you have. Every single one is going to think you have. It's just the way it works. And that is the shocking part. So you will saturate that market and become the agent that is the most well-known. And it's going to be, once you do it, it's set it and forget it, right? Now, I'm kind of going into the geographic farming side when I talk about my mom, because she did it for her neighborhood. But that's how you're going to start to get people's first of mind. You're going to start to get to know people in there. They're going to start to know your name over time. They're going to start to be able to recognize you by name, so that when you do come in contact with them, it's going to be easy to quickly add them to your SOI. If you do hold an open house on that farm, you're going to be able to grow them in there, right? So now what's going to happen is you're not going to even need, because we meet so many people, we forget to follow up with them. Well, this program's going to do it for you. It's constantly following up. And you're going to see, you're not going to remember somebody. You met them in an open house. You're going to set them up on a listing e-alert. You're going to get an email. You're going to get a call from them or an email from them 3 years later and say, I'm finally ready to buy. And they're going to expect that you remember them because you've been sending them all these emails, forgetting that your CRM is doing it on autopilot. You're going to forget who the heck they are. And it happens all the time. Happens all the time. And they're going to thank you and appreciate the care that you put into this. Happens like mad. Okay. So with your SOI, it's kind of difficult because you got SOI, they live all over the place. So you are going to have to set them all up on their own listing e-alert searches. That is a pain in the rear, but you only have to do it once. So you have to go through, let's say you got 300 people in your SOI, you're gonna have to go set them up like on a map search on your CRM, kind of like you would on MLS or something, of what you want the boundaries of their neighborhood to be. Now with farming, it's a little easier because they all live in the same neighborhood. So you can set them all up on the same search. So you can usually do it in one mass bulk enrollment, but don't skip your SOI. That's the low hanging fruit. We know that. So don't not do it. What I usually tell people to do with their SOI is set up 5 people a day, 5 to 10 people a day, and then call them and text them to let them know that you set them up on it. Here's the program. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But with farms, you can set them all up on the same search because, let's say the neighborhood's a rectangle or a circle or I don't know, isosceles triangle, who knows, whatever it is, you're going to outline that on the map search of your CRM. And then that becomes the search criteria. And then all the people in that group in your CRM's database for that farm can be set up on that same listing e-alert email drip. It's nice. Okay. So that's the way we set those two people up. And when we do it for geographic farms, it's really not much different. Before I show you that though, the script is almost identical as your SOI. The one thing I do want to tell you though is from now on, when you take a listing or you represent a buyer, like when you go to a listing, always set them up on 2 searches, right? Or two drips. They should be on a listing alert drip to convert that seller lead so they can stay up to date on what's coming up for sale in their neighborhood. And they need to be on a buyer side one. Every client you have needs to be on a listing alert, always. Every lead needs to be on a listing alert. Every visitor to your open house needs to be on a listing alert. That is the new lead conversion step in the process. Is why would you, there's no one that, maybe an infant or a 3-year-old, we don't need to set them up. But if they're 18 and up, there is no way in real estate they shouldn't be on a listing alert for something. Renters want to buy, sellers need to be kept up to date, buyers need to buy. That's your conversion tool. That's your follow-up tool. So everyone needs to be in it. So you better start using it at a high level, because you're not going to remember to call all these people. I'm here to tell you, you're not going to, and if you do remember, you're not going to do it. This thing is going to do, this is machine, implement machinery. Use Big Brother or whatever, get behind progress. That's what I want. Okay. So everybody, remember, all listings go on a buyer side search. All buyers go on a listing side search if they own a home. Okay. Real estate is a game of touches. We need to make a lot of contacts. That's really hard to do if you're trying to make them all yourself. So use your CRM, use your MLS system to do it on autopilot for you. You have 100 contacts a year to make in an annual database contact plan. No way in heck you're going to do that manually with everybody in your SOI. Okay. And this can take care of a ton of those for you. It's hard to know exactly how many listings are going to hit the market. It's hard to know exactly how many, touches you're going to make out of the 100. So you have to kind of guess and speculate on this one. Make sense? What I don't want you to do is set them up on weekly or monthly notifications. Like I said, these need to be instant or immediate listing alerts. Instant or immediate alerts. Because if they start getting an email every week with an update as to what's happening in their market, they will start unsubscribing. That is not relevant enough. They need to be the first to know. It needs to be new news to them. It can't come after a just listed that already told them the same thing. It can't come after they got a mailer, after they saw the sign up. It's got to be new news every time, because people unsubscribe from way too many emails. So it's got to go through immediately. So when you're picking the size of your scope and your search for the neighborhood around the recipient, this is where it gets tricky. We don't want to blow them up with 10 emails a day. So don't pick the entire LA basin, or they're going to get 10 emails a day and unsubscribe. So you got to kind of, get to know the neighborhoods. You're in real estate. So see how much turnover happens there. Maybe we don't send them notifications for pendings and solds, just new listings. So it's not so much. Maybe we just cut out the pendings and just send them listings and solds. Or maybe we tighten the scope so it's not such a big area, so there won't involve so many houses. So we're still able to send them instant notifications for new listings, pendings, solds. Make sense? So you have to kind of play with it to get it right. And that's a wonderful reason to follow up with people like 2 weeks later and say, are you getting too many emails? I can dial it back. Are you not getting enough? I can turn it up. Make sense? Usually your CRM, which is customer relationship management system, every CRM will let you do it. Okay? So that CRM will let you tweak the frequency by the size of the neighborhood search and by how many MLS status changes you go through, whether it's actives, pendings, solds, things like that. So you got to kind of watch the frequency, because we don't want to overdo it and we don't want to underdo it, because the whole point is to make touches. Either way, understand, unlike other touches, I guess doing annual reviews with your clients is my favorite touch. I told you about that, where you reach out and kind of give them an annual review of the value of their property each year. That's very real estate relevant. So is this. This is you continuing to provide a customer service with all your clients, or even your clients that you haven't represented yet. It shows that you can provide customer service as an agent, even when you're not representing them, just by keeping them up to date, because it's real estate relevant. It's not a calendar magnet. It's not a client event. Those are nice things and I like them and I teach them, but it's not you showing your expertise. It's not you showing your tools. It's not you keeping them up to date and doing something for them that has to do with real estate services. When it's real estate services, they look at you as an expert and they think of you as someone who's skilled. Why hasn't our cousin who's got their license done this? Why didn't our past agent do this? Why doesn't that agent that's your best friend at work do this for you? This Brian Icenhower guy seems to be the one who's hustling. That's the one who knows what to do. He's giving us what we want. It shows you're working. And you know what it's like when you're working for someone beforehand, when they start washing your windows, right? Remember that? When you're stopped at a stoplight in Los Angeles, can't go anywhere, homeless guy comes up and just starts washing your windows, then afterwards looks at you and expects payment. It gets weird. You look at him, he looks at you, guilt is there. Why? He's been working for you. Even though you didn't pay him or have an agreement to, he's going to expect payment. And you're probably not going to pay him because you're scared to death because he's creepy. But you got a slight minute of guilt when he looks at you because he did some work for you. That guilt is what we're after. We're trying to actually give them this tool for years and years and years. And guess what? If they use someone else to list their house, they're a freaking jerk. Because they've been using and loving your tool the whole time. Social guilt. It wins every single time. Okay? Wins every single time. So we wash their windows by starting to do work for them. Give them a test pin. Prove our worth. Okay? So we do this with farms too, like I said, just a lot easier to group in your CRM, to find them in your CRM, to keep everyone in your farm neighborhood up to date on what's happening with each sale. They're the first to know how much it's selling for, look through photos of their neighbors' homes. Let me show you. The script is almost identical here. So you can see this is our geographic farming auto email drip, and you'll be able to download this in a minute. And you can see as you go through it, same thing. It's really just talking about, same 6, the bullet point on the 6 never changed. You guys got to get that imprinted on a tattoo on your lower back in calligraphy. You have got to know that by heart. Like that, this has got to be right here on your arm, a tribal tattoo, a tribal band, and then that right in the middle of it. Because this has got to roll off your tongue. We can use this too much. It's got to be in all your marketing. You got to excel your tools. You have to tell them what you can do for them. Because this is big. We're going to give them full realtor access. So they're the first to know, and they're going to get this at any time. And people just love it. Okay. It's really exactly the same script, except we say it's for their neighborhood, and we put their neighborhood name in there when we talk to them. Okay. I'm going to drop those 2 in there. But I've got more for you too. So you'll be able to at least download those and give you something to do. Those are our first 2. Probably the most widely used is our SOI and our geographic farm. Now, conversion of seller leads. Okay, conversion of seller leads. I absolutely love this one. For the same reason, the script will not surprise you. It's not much different. But what is interesting is anytime you're filling out your inventory pipelines, like we've talked about, and you've got a lot of listings coming this year. Hopefully you're keeping track of all those people that want to sell this year. You just don't know when. Maybe they've signed a listing agreement that's not going live in 3 months, or maybe they haven't signed a listing agreement and you're still trying. But trying is weird. We've talked about different ways you can try. You can try to you're just going to try to wash their windows any way you can to create social guilt. So they have to list with you. You're going to try to get a photographer out there ahead of time, a stager out there, maybe some of your contractors out there to start doing work. Anything you can do to wash their freaking windows so that they'll feel obligated to you until they finally succumb, collapse, and sign your magical listing agreement, which ultimately gets you paid. Well, here's another way to wash their windows. Is basically say, hey, I'm going to set you up on a listing e-alert system right away. That way you'll stay educated and you're going to know when the best time to list your home is. You're going to see every time one of your neighbor's house comes up for sale, what price it's up for. You're going to be able to look at it, to compare its amenities and features to your own, to see how your home is being impacted. Sometimes a low home price will come up and it'll hurt you and it'll be a bad comp. Sometimes you'll see a high one come up. We're seeing a lot of that these days. And you're going to see how these home prices will impact and increase your appraised value of your home. So I need you to do your education. So I want to start setting you up on that so you can get real educated. So you're always the first to know about your competition and how your neighbors' homes are going to support the ultimate sales price of your home. Does that sound good to you? You will get a 100% yes on that one. You will never get a no on that one. Now you're washing windows, and guess what? You have a reason to keep calling them, because that's the awkward thing. When you know someone wants to list in 4 months, you don't want to be like, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? You got to find reasons to call. Now you got all kinds of reasons. Hey, did you see that listing that your neighbor just threw up for sale? That might up the price of your house. That's the highest price per square foot ever in the history of that neighborhood. Hey, did you see that house went pending? Your neighbor's house, it went pending. And at that list price, that might be a new great comp for you. Hey, that neighbor's home sold. Any type of status change with the comps in their neighborhood that they got an email about is a great time to follow up. So you have a reason to convert and stay in contact with that lead. The more you wash the windows that way, the least likely they're going to be comfortable with ultimately listing with somebody else. They've seen you've been sending them all this information and calling and caring and keeping them up to date. The likelihood that they're going to list with somebody else is so slim now. So very. You've been providing your full spectrum of customer service long before you went into an express agency agreement with them. You made it implied. You made it implied. How you like that for licensing talk? You don't get that a lot from me. Implied versus express agency agreements. Make sense? So we use it to convert seller leads. Every seller lead you get goes on one of these. I don't care how thin they are. If they're thinking about selling in the next 3 years, you put them on this because now you got a reason to follow up and nurture. Then they go in your inventory pipelines. Because if I'm going to call someone, there is nothing that I would rather call more in this planet than a seller lead that I know wants to sell in the near future. You talk about low-hanging fruit to call, I'd be calling that one, okay? All the while you're adding value and helping them stay educated about their home's value, their neighborhood's conditions, leading up to whenever they're ready to move. No rush, that's on you. In the meantime, let me just educate you. Make sense? The way we can tell them in a script, in an email, you name it, same deal, same 6 bullet points that are already tattooed on your lower back by now, and really talking about everything I just said. We're going to keep you up to date until you're ready to put your home up for sale. Okay? Now, with buyer auto prospecting, I think most of you know how to use listing alerts for buyers, right? We talked about that. Very first thing. They want a property. You're going to set them up on search criteria for the home they're looking for. Okay. Here's the deal, guys. Everyone you know or meet should go up on a listing alert. Okay. Everybody. That's why it's got to be a big part. It could be your only email database for that matter. Other than emailing for client events and annual property analysis, this could be your only email. You can stop the set your clocks forward and spring forward and things like that. Happy New Year's and the like. And just use relevant stuff that's professional and adds value. For buyers, I want you to take a look. I'm just going to read you this script. I think you're going to love this script. Okay. I think you're going to absolutely love it. Okay, there we go. I'll make it so you can kind of read it, but I'll read it if you can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to tell them the most desirable homes listed at the lowest prices sell the fastest. So you don't ever have to see them on Zillow and other secondary websites. Most homes on those websites are actually the homes that people did not want. You see, all homes are initially listed in the realtor's multiple listing service, or MLS, online database of homes for sale. Then the listing information is sent through digital feeds to other secondary sources and then onto these other websites. This is why the information on these sites is often incorrect and a week or two old. That's why websites like Zillow do not have the same number of listings as our MLS. If you are looking for homes on Zillow, you're just seeing the leftovers that no one else wanted. Are you following me? Plus, many offices, companies, and associations of realtors do not allow digital feeds to go to secondary websites like Zillow. So not only do you miss out on the homes that have already sold quickly, but there are many active listings that you can't see at all. Does that all make sense? Get them saying yes, because I see half of you nodding. So if you want to see all the listings the minute they go up for sale and get full realtor access, I can easily set you up on our buyer search tool so that you can see what the real estate agents see as soon as they see it, if not beforehand. You can look at the homes online in the privacy of your own home, on your own time, with absolutely no pressure or obligation. I can even set the system up to send you email notifications the minute new homes hit the market that fits the specific criteria you're looking for in a home. If you happen to Want to see the inside of one of them? You can just reply to the email or call me and we'll get you inside quickly. Would that be of benefit to you? That's how we sell our systems over third-party vendors that are trying to steal our clients and sell them back to us. Does that make sense? So don't be afraid of freaking Zillow. Kick them in the head instead. This has always been our power. We can always put them on our tools because our tools are better. They're more accurate. They're up to date. And quite frankly, if you have to go into a search site and look for a listing all the time, that's not going to be the same as us sending you every listing the minute it hits the market. You're going to be poised to buy property. Okay? So you can download that whole script and talking point as well too, and make sure you use that one. That's a big one. You know what that's a great script for? It's a great script for anyone at an open house. In fact, a lot of the big teams we coach, we make it mandatory for them to have 2 open houses per listing. Even if listings are selling too fast, they hold them after they go under contract or after they get offers. It's not until contingencies are waived do they stop holding open houses, because they love creating backup offers on listings. And it keeps the screws to the buyer who wants to keep negotiating down based on the inspections or maybe even the appraisal. So and not to mention, they get to hold 2 open houses, which means they convert a lot of buyers into these listing e-alert tools. And they convert a lot of neighbors, because when those looky-loo neighbors come to the open house, guess what? We can set them up on our farm search. That way they don't have to come to these open houses. They'll be the first to know. They'll get an email when this first thing went up for sale last Tuesday. We can tell our buyers at open houses, hey, I mean, if you're really looking for a house, doing it by open house is not the most efficient way. I mean, less than 1% of the homes that go up for sale are actually held as open houses. And not to mention, half the time they're going to be sold like this one by the time you walk through them. So why don't we give you full realtor access so you can see them before most real estate agents do? And if you're looking through Zillow, it's going to be too late and you're only going to see the houses nobody wanted. So you know what I'm saying? I can convert. Let me set you up. And if you don't like it, just unsubscribe on the first one. Trust me, I think you'll like it. Freaking my mom's nuts about it. That kind of thing. You know, make my mom your mom. Make my mom your mom. You'll love that. Okay. It's because that's the new conversion ratio. It used to always be make a contact, convert it to an appointment, convert it to a contract, a listing agreement, or an offer, or a buyer agency agreement. So as always, contact, appointment, contract. Not anymore. Contact, search, or listing e-alert search, appointment, contract. We have to have that nurturing period in there. Why? Because the advent of looking at listings online has people starting to look a lot sooner because they can look on their own. Back in the day, before the consumer was so used to looking online, they'd call an agent the minute they want to start looking at houses. They don't do that first anymore. They start looking online first. So we have to control where they look or we might lose them. They might go with a Zillow agent or stumble into somebody else's open house because they saw that listing, or call a listing agent because they saw it on Zillow or realtor.com or something like that. So because of that, they're going to be a little standoffish to you ahead of time. They're going to give you the no, I'm just looking lie. So you say, okay, let me help you look. That's how you meet their need. Long before early in the process where we fight over the control for their online search. When they say, no, I'm just looking, they're freaking liars, because we're all liars. All of you are liars too. Think about the last time you went into Nordstrom's and you walk by that lady at the front door. Hi, welcome to Nordstrom's. Can I help you? What did you say? No, I'm just looking. Because you're all freaking liars. You're not just looking. No one goes into Nordstrom's just to look. You're after something. You just didn't want to tell her because you're a liar. That's what we do. It's like an automatic knee-jerk response. So guess what we do? She doesn't like shut you out and say, shut up, you liar, get out of Nordstrom's. No, she stays with you. She goes, okay, we'll back off. I got my friends. My friends are over at the men's department. If you're looking for a leather belt, there'll be someone to help you look at leather belts, maybe go give you a couple colors, until ultimately she's ready to buy, or he's ready to buy the belt. Same thing here. Okay, maybe you don't want to meet. Maybe you don't want to come to my buyer consultation appointment yet. Maybe you don't want to do a listing consult and have me in your house yet. Well, let me help you look in the meantime, since that's all you're doing. Set them up on your listing e-alert program and you meet the client's need at the appropriate timeline in the sales funnel. That's why everybody's got to go from contact to listing e-alert to appointment to contract now. That is what the digital age has done. We just got to know how to adapt and make sure everybody goes through that listing e-alert process. Everyone. Now, when they're in it, our lead follow-up is very constructive. It's very constructive. We have a reason to call, like I said. It's not every are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? We can actually call all of our leads that are in listing e-alerts that we know are going to be buying, selling, and call them and just say, hey, did you see that listing? Boy, your prices are really improving. Hey, you know what? Maybe I haven't talked to them in 2 years and I've been seeing they've been getting these emails. That's a great time to call them and do an annual review with them. Because boy, there's been a lot of comps in your neighborhood. I think you're going to be shocked what your home's worth. Something I'm trying to do as a customer service with all my clients. So I want to do it annually with you. Would you mind? Do you have like 5 minutes? I can just send it over to you. And then you do a quick Zoom meeting and go over a CMA with them and tell them how much their house is worth. That's our annual review process, right? We've talked about that. But otherwise, we're going to call them on a regular basis to get their feedback on how they're liking the tool and whether we're going to dial it up and down. Like, this is my tool. Do you like it? I mean, is it too many emails? Do you need more? Do you need less? Do you want me to expand the scope? Do you want me to set you up for a home you're going to buy too? Any neighborhoods that you want to just keep an eye on just in case you might be able to sell yours and move into that one? Lots of feedback. How new listings are impacting their house, their price, that kind of thing. So it's real important. That's why it's so dang important for these to go out instantly and not in a weekly list of all the homes that sold in their neighborhood. That's what everybody does. Do not do that. These emails go out. These emails go out automatically. And yes, they can absolutely unsubscribe automatically. For an email, a marketing email, not to have that would be against the law, federal law. You've got to allow people to unsubscribe. So that will happen. Okay. So that's the idea. We've talked about how to convert from open houses. Most of my big teams, I don't think I finished the statement though. Most of my big teams, like they require people to have 2 open houses. They actually track when there's an open house, they track a couple things. Number 1, how many people come through the open house? And number 2, how many of them were set up on listing e-alert emails? Because we're trying to convert, right? So how many did we get set up? How many buyers did we get set up? How many neighbors did we get set up? So how many people did we pull into our spider web, our sales funnel that goes from contact at the open house to listing e-alert email and ultimately to appointments and closings? Make sense? So we can track that. Every person that comes through is a target. Remember that. Everyone. You got buyers in there. You got other neighbors. You got your SOI members that come by. Great educator for people to start learning the value in certain neighborhoods where they live or the value of homes. Don't you love it when someone's educated and has been on listing e-alerts before they buy with you? Like, they're not unrealistic. They don't start trying to lowball things or if you've got one set up on a listing e-alert search because they're going to list with you, you walk in and they actually have a pretty good idea what their home should sell for. They're not crazy because they've been looking and studying because you have been educating them. It's really real estate relevant, man. So here's the process and here's your action steps. I want you to try to set them up on 5 to 10 searches a day in your SOI. Okay. 5 to 10 searches a day. You're going to be able to download. It's a Microsoft Word document that you can download on the side. And what it is, it's going to be a graphic. You can save it. It's Microsoft Word. So you can save it as a PDF, PNG, JPEG, whatever you want. So you can post it on social media. You can send it in an email. I like to keep it on my phone. So when I'm calling people, I can text it to them so they can look at it. And it's designed to actually, and you can totally edit it to say whatever you want. You can make it say my 6 bullet points so that they see the value, that you're not trying to sell them on something, that you're really trying to give them something that they want. And that's what's really important. So this is an editable Microsoft Word document that they can use to do that. And basically it's the neighborhood update tool. And it kind of shows them that they're going to get email notifications when they go for sale, when the price changes, when the home sells. You can see the list price, the photos, the property details. You can get it by going to our website. I can text it to them. We can send them an email, things like that. It's the who, where, what, when, why, how of your new program you're really excited to share with them. And you and I know it's not a new program, but we are talking about using it a very new way. Okay. In a very new way. So it's really, really cool. And you're just going to get all your people receiving value from you on a very real way. The most effective way to do this is a phone or a text. start the conversation, and then text them that image or text them a link. We just need their email address. That's all we really need, and their home address if we don't have it already. To give you an idea, if you set up 5 a day, Monday through Friday, and then call them, text them, or whatever, and let them know you did it, because I wouldn't just do it to your SOI like randomly. Use it as a reason to call and to let them know. They're going to be less likely to unsubscribe than just you randomly doing it. So if you set up, let's say 5 a day, that would be 100 people a month. That'd be 25 a week, 100 a month that get set up on this. If you did 10 a day, you probably want to text each of those people to speed things up. That'd be 200 people a month you get set up on this. If you got 200 people or 100 people a month, if you did this for like 6 months straight, you would have hundreds of people, 600 to 1,200 set up on these. You would start getting people coming at you to buy and list left and right, because you'd be constantly in contact with people. You'd have a machine. And guess what? This is what the top agents in America do. And you wonder where they get all these leads. It's because all the money's in the follow-up. They've already got the leads. Now they're just generating to them. They're converting, and they're letting their tools do it for them. Tools you've already got. Tools you can use for free in a free CRM or a free MLS website. See, if you want to get real fancy and pay for fancy CRMs, those will do it too. So it's really, really darn easy. So let's work on, creating a marketing image so you can send it to people, setting up those listing alerts and learn how to do it. Make it a system where every seller lead we put on one, every buyer lead we put on one, everyone in our SOI we put on one, and anyone in a neighborhood that we want to farm. Remember, there's lots of ways to buy that contact information. You can go to RedX Geo Leads, Cole Realty information, Land Voice, any of those things we've talked about a million times. You can buy email addresses and things like that. You kind of have to do that if you're going to farm, because you may have a buyer lead or a seller lead, so you're going to be able to get their email address. They may be in your SOI already, so you should have their email address. Farms, you may not know the people. That's for growing your SOI, so you may have to buy the contact information. It's not very expensive. It's like $100 a month until you can export all the contact information, and then you can cancel your subscription, and you should have a good chunk of email addresses and mailing addresses. Make sense?